So this week is week 7 and I've been busy in the Western Highlands. A lot of big mountain ranges, a lot of brilliant days out and a lot of really long days out as well. So I suppose the first thing would be that I've just had so much support for this section and it actually wouldn't have been remotely possible without it. So this week was flanked by 2 days off. I don't really like to take days off, and until I took these 2 days off, I'd had a 26-day run of being on the hill every day. But to be honest, it was just the weather, and it's the fact that the weather was breaking down. Off the back of the Ben Nevis day at the end of last week, I was pretty tired. I'd not had a lot of sleep a lot of the nights, and the weather that day was these really turbulent showers coming in. So you'd be in bright sun and then it would just boom, whack in on high winds, and then you would just be in torrential rain low down, snow higher up. And I headed up to Loch Lochy for the Munros there, and it got to a point where I was like, it's just not happening. Like, it really just... And then I tried packing, pack, pull your stuff, just get a routine going. And I kind of got all my stuff on, I got half my stuff on, and I just went, oh, I need to sleep, and I fell asleep. So it's really just says it all, you know, don't try and fight it, just do what your body tells you to do. But yeah, the following day, so I suppose the next place that I got stuck into was Glenfinnan in Galvin. And again, this would not have been a plan unless Helen had said, oh, she was up for taking a bike up to Glenfionley. And this is the glen that runs up towards Galvin. And instead of walking out like 6 kilometres of track at the end of a long day, it would mean I could jump on a bike and freewheel out the glen. So it meant it was maybe getting on for 30 kilometres walking and then 6 odd kilometres-ish back out to the road. So there you go, you had a plan. And she dropped me off in the morning at Glenfinnan. Quite a beautiful morning, stunning blue skies, walking in a base layer for the first time. I've almost never walked in a base layer. Yeah. 1 layer and that's it. Extremely unusual. Really enjoying it. Dry conditions. Some of the light in Scuan and Corrichan was just like... Nice little tiny moment there. Just coming up here, I stopped, looked around, and then the southern horizon in the sun. It's a very bright atmosphere. It's sort of bubbly cumulus clouds and all sun spatters. Yeah. And right at the south end there's Ben Cruachan, which was my second Munro on the second day. And I just got stopped there and smiled. So yeah, I went up onto the ridge there, up onto the top, got some views across to Glenpean, Skye, across to Scuan and Kirche in the north, and all this sort of ragged ridges heading into the Rough Bounds and sort of Noida. So good to see all that. From there it was a westward journey across to Scaorhulm, and then after that across a couple of wild glens to Galvin. And I love that area. I spent a lot of time last year walking around about Moydart, Ardgour, Glenfinnan, and in towards Glendessery, Noidart, etc. All these places, and it's nice to be back. Rough hills, great hills. There's many of them, and a lot of them are under 3,000 feet, and I've now been up loads of them, so it was nice to come back to the Munro Height Hills and do them again. And then the afternoon, yeah, headed up onto Galvin. Last light heading across between the tops, and I met Helen here, and then we both headed down the south ridge of Galvin together. Just coming out to Loch Hale on the bike. Just rode over the last hill. It's downhill to the car. Just like, you've done it. The following day, again, I kept the foot on the gas. I got stuck into the Mamors. Mamors number 1. Drizzly and cold. I don't think I'm going to stop much today. Not a bad thing. I just don't want to get too cold. Whereas Helen dropped us at the west end of the range and I headed up onto Mullagh and Corrin. This is the first Munro. And the Mamors are unique because it's a place that you can pick up 10 Munros for a day's worth of ridge walking. Devil's Ridge. Mamors. Devil's Ridge is quite narrow, but for the most part it's still a walk. And then after that things started to, I don't know, just slightly get a bit more serious. Like, And really in an inexplicable way, it was as much as the light went dull, the light went a bit flatter, the conditions got worse, the wind picked up a bit, you started to become affected, it was pushing you. And when you're doing a long day like that as well, it's just harder to stick with it for long periods when the elements conspire against you. So it's this combination between your own fitness, the size of the day, and then the weather conditions you're presented with. And yeah, I don't know what happened. I actually started to get quite cold coming off Binion Moor, but at this point I'd done 8 Munros and there was no way that I was not doing 10 Munros. There was no way I was going to come back for the final 2, just not a hope in hell. So really it was just grit the teeth and get up Scuil de Moor, get up Binion Beck, over the top and down. But I have to admit it was a really rare moment of like, God, I almost didn't enjoy that. It was just the stress and yeah, wherever that came from. Don't really know. Car headlights. Yeah. They're probably ours. That night I had a couple of meals. Yeah, a lot of drinks and I was really tired. And Steve and Dad came up. And yeah, I must have been pretty tired. Amazingly, the following morning, I managed to drag myself out of bed on an amazing forecast. Because we had this forecast built up for 2 days of sun before the conditions deteriorated, and I headed into the Ben Alder Hills. And once again Helen was really up for taking a rucksack into Ben Alder Cottage and to use that as a halfway point for the trip. So yeah, I just pedalled up the loch onto the northern Munros, and for once the weather was really calm and settled. There were moments of wind, but then on Carngerrick there was this incredibly peaceful moment, almost mid-spring-like, of complete calm. Just right out there in the hills, alone, carrying minimal kit, enjoying movement, loving it, and with these couple of fantastic hills left, Ben Voyle, Ben Alder. And I headed across to Ben Voyle, over the top, and the sun set as I headed up to Ben Alder. And then that evening I was in no rush because the sun was away to the west, and the Ben Alder sits in the centre of, right in the centre of the Highlands, and so you have views to every corner from it. So you can see the lights of Strathspey, and you can see down at Bridge of Orchy, Rannoch, Glencoe, Ben Nevis, Ben Cruachan almost. So yeah, in terms of sort of, you know, what an experience to be wandering around the summit rim of Ben Alder at night on your own, just enjoying it in this amazing remote place. Like, yes, that's the last sort of glow on the horizon is just disappearing now. So yeah, just an amazing day. I almost do wish there were more days like that this winter. I mean, it's not to be, and I've always said, you know what, I don't really care, it is what it is, but it was just lovely to have this stunning day today. Yeah, felt like such a win, you know, and it's like that's exactly why I'm doing this, to have these moments that you just pick up out of nowhere. And I headed down to Ben Alder Cottage. There was a fire raging, food on, hot drinks on. Helen was there, and we just had the most brilliant bothy night, you know. I'll definitely be back there. The following morning was another stunner, and I think it almost might be the first time I've had 2 consecutive really good days together. I'm heading up to Sgurr Gaire, the pointed one. Had a really nice night at Ben Alder Cottage last night. Really taken by the place, it was really stunning. Great location, clean tidy bothy, a nice open aspect onto the surrounding area. It's really unlike a lot of bothies, which so often are really hemmed in by the hills, but this is such a nice sunny open location. Really enjoyed it. There are 3 Munros that surround Loch Ushen, and my bike was at Loch Ushen, so I'd have to kind of go over them and cycle back to the train station where we began. And yeah, just had a great day, fantastic day, and it was yeah, it just felt like a holiday really. So in spite of increasing winds through the afternoon because the weather was deteriorating, I just felt like I was on holiday, and I don't really know why. I think it might have been just the sun. Just had a sort of quick run up this hill on the way back to Kenilworth Station. The train is in just less than 2 hours, so I've got plenty of time to get back down. I have to get the train out to Fort William, and we got back to the train with plenty of time. Back to Fort William. Yeah, nice day. Really nice day. And it's nice to have those moments of lightness, even in a schedule that saw me doing nearly 100 kilometres in 3 days. So it's a lot of work in winter. Just to have these moments of calmness is really, really important, and it forces you to relax, because if you don't relax, you'll never make it. And the following day, arranged to meet up with Finlay Wild, which was really good. There was one set of hills remaining in the Lochaber area, the immediate Lochaber area, and that's really the Loch Lochy pair. Now the weather was due to turn gale force in the afternoon, well, around about midday, and so it made sense to get up early, kind of another 5 o'clock start, and get out onto the hills in the morning. So I've had a total change of plan. I've moved completely, and I'm now up by, I'm actually staying at Muir of Ord for night with my cousin, Abby, and Barry. Yeah, I'm really going to go sort of tackle the Northern Highlands. So this storm came in, which will be now blizzarding for 3 days, without pause. So it really puts a bit of a brakes on the progress. I'm really in the mood at the minute for just keeping pushing, and I want to just keep pushing out big miles. That's what I'd like to do, but then again the weather says no, so you kind of have to go with that. But that's fine. It just means either not going up hills if it's too bad, or shorter days, and there are no shortage of shorter days in the Northwest Highlands. Yeah, I should also maybe just say as well, like, for all the folk that have been watching the videos, I know people have been, I've had a few folk have said to me, like, yeah, I saw the videos and things, so yeah, glad folk are maybe watching them and keeping up, if they keep folk updated. I'm enjoying doing them, but yeah, cheers for watching.